The rain-slicked streets of Brooklyn gleamed under the sodium lamps like veins pulsing with the city's unspoken secrets. And in that downpour, I watched the man I'd loved in shadows for a decade walk away without a backward glance. My heart, that battered organ I'd patched together with stolen moments and quiet sacrifices, shattered not with a cry, but a whisper, gone, just like that. After 10 years of being his ghost, his comfort, his everything but his truth. As the cab's taillights bled red into the night, I realized my voice, the one that had always bent to his needs, had finally broken, and in its absence, the soldier I called home would learn what regret truly tasted like. I was 22 when it started, fresh out of nowhere college in upstate New York, clutching a literature degree that felt as useless as the dreams it was supposed to chase. Brooklyn had swallowed me whole that summer, its brownstones and bodegas a chaotic symphony of lives intersecting like plot twists in a forgotten novel. I'd landed a job at the Page-Turner, a dusty bookstore on Atlantic Avenue, shelves groaning under the weight of stories no one had time to read anymore. It paid in coffee stains and late-night poetry readings. But it was mine, a sanctuary of words where I could hide the ache of being 22 and achingly alone in my desires. That's where I met Jordan Hayes. He stormed in one humid afternoon, all broad shoulders and clipped efficiency. His army greens starched sharp enough to cut glass. 23, he said, fresh from basic training at Fort Bragg, shipped up to New York for some joint exercise at the armory. His green eyes scanned the room like he was casing a target, but when they landed on me behind the counter, something softened the way a rifle barrel cools after firing. Looking for Hemingway, he grunted, voice rough from commands and cigarettes. I handed him For Whom the Bell Tolls, our fingers brushing just long enough to spark something electric. Forbidden. We didn't talk about it then. He bought the book, left a tip he couldn't afford, and came back the next day for Vonnegut. By week's end, it was a ritual, Jordan, escaping the barracks' rigid rhythm, finding solace in my recommendations and the way I'd linger over descriptions of lost loves and quiet betrayals. He never said he was gay, hell. In 2015, with Don't Ask, Don't Tell a fresh scar on the military's hide. Words like that were landmines. But his gaze, the way it traced my jaw when he thought I wasn't looking, spoke volumes. And me, I was already falling, mistaking proximity for possibility. It turned out Jordan carried ghosts heavier than mine. His high school sweetheart, Marcus, had been killed in a car wreck just before deployment. Clean-cut kid from the same small Ohio town. The one who'd held Jordan's hand under bleachers and promised forever. Jordan wore that loss like a dog tag, etched into every flinch. Every nightmare he confessed over closing time whiskey at the bar across the street. He was it for me, he'd say, voice cracking like thunder on the horizon. The real thing. I'm just drifting now. I became the driftwood he clung to. Not his lover, not in name, not in the light of day, but in the dim corners of my tiny walk-up above the bookstore. We'd collide in the dark, bodies speaking what words couldn't. His hands, calloused from rifles and ropes, mapped my skin with a reverence that broke me open. You're safe, he'd murmur into my neck, as if I were the anchor, not the substitute. I'd wake to his side of the bed cold, deployment orders tucked under his boots like an apology. Letters came sporadically, scrawled from dusty outposts in Afghanistan, smelling of sand and sweat, full of coded longing, Miss the rain here. The way it washes everything clean. I'd write back. Pages of unspoken I love yous. Signing off as your Alex. The friend who understood. Years blurred like rain on a window. Jordan rose through the ranks, sergeant, then staff, to lieutenant by 28. His body hardening into the soldier's ideal while my world stayed soft-edged. Pages and patrons. I dated sporadically. Ghosts of what could be. A barista who quoted Whitman wrong. A graphic designer who fled at the first hint of my history with Jordan. But they were placeholders, echoes of the man who'd return every leave, crashing into my life like a storm. Marcus would hate this. He'd laugh bitterly one night in 2018, post-reenlistment, as we lay tangled in sheets that smelled of takeout Thai. Me, half a world away, pretending. You're not pretending, I whispered, tracing the scar on his ribs from a training mishap. You're surviving. He pulled me closer, breath hot against my ear. With you, yeah. But it's not fair. You're more than this, Alex. More than my. Whatever this is, I swallowed the lump in my throat, the one that tasted like regret. This is enough. It wasn't. But love, the stubborn bastard, convinces you otherwise. By 2020, the pandemic locked the world down, and Jordan's unit got stateside duty, guarding vaccine shipments in Jersey. He moved into my apartment full-time, a trial run at domesticity that felt like stolen paradise. Mornings were coffee and crosswords, his boot polish staining the kitchen floor. Nights were slow, exploratory, as if we were finally writing our own story. He even met my mom over Zoom, widowed schoolteacher from Buffalo, who eyed his uniform with maternal suspicion but warmed when he quoted her favorite Austen line. For the first time, I dare hope. What if we made it real? I asked one evening, rain pattering against the fire escape like applause. We were on the couch, his head in my lap, my fingers carding through his buzzed hair. He tensed, that old shadow crossing his face. Real? Like? Coming out? In the army. A bitter chuckle. They say it's okay now. Post-2011. But you know how it is. Whispers in the showers. The CO who looks at you sideways. And Marcus. His family still writes. They think I'm honoring him by staying straight. Single. The air thickened, heavy as unspoken accusations. I wanted to scream that honoring the dead shouldn't cage the living. But instead, I nodded, swallowing the burn. Then we keep it quiet. For now, he kissed me then, fierce and forgiving, and we let the moment pass. But cracks spiderwebbed beneath the surface, his deployments growing longer. My shifts at the bookstore turning into management. Promotions I accepted with a hollow smile. Friends noticed, "Where's that soldier boy?" They'd tease at holiday parties. And I deflect with a laugh that didn't reach my eyes. Deployed. Always is. By 2023, 10 years in, the weight had settled like sediment in my bones. Jordan was a captain now, decorated for a counter-IED op in Syria. His face on recruitment posters that made my stomach twist, heroic jawline. Eyes that promised glory but hid the toll. He proposed a road trip for his leave, cross-country drive. From New York to his folks in Ohio. A detour through the Smokies. Like a reset, he said, packing my favorite flannel into the duffel. You and me. No ranks. No ghosts. The drive was magic laced with melancholy. We blasted Springsteen through the Rockies. Sang off-key to Thunder Road. his hand on my thigh at stoplights when no one watched. In a Knoxville motel, under flickering neon, he confessed dreams of retirement, settling in the Hudson Valley, maybe opening a veterans outreach with books and therapy. "You could run the library part," he murmured, tracing my collarbone. My partner in crime. Partner. The word hung like a vow, and I clung to it through the miles. But Ohio shattered the illusion. His parents' farmhouse, white clapboard and American flags, welcomed me as the friend from the city, dinner of pot roast and probing questions about my line of work. Then Marcus's mom dropped by, unannounced, bearing photo albums thick as grievances. "Jordan's twin soul," she said, flipping to pictures of two boys in Letterman jackets, arms slung casual but eyes locked eternal. Jordan's face went ashen, fork clattering to his plate. That night, in the guest room, he unraveled. "See, that's who I was supposed to be with. Not. This half-life." His voice broke, tears hot on my shoulder. "You're too good, Alex. You deserve fireworks, not footnotes." I held him through the sobs, my own heart fracturing. "I'm not a footnote. I'm here," but dawn brought distance. The drive back was silent stretches punctuated by radio static. His regret, a third passenger. By the time we hit the Holland Tunnel, he decided, transfer to Fort Hood, Texas, farther from memories. From me. "Space to figure out," he said, eyes on the road. "For both of us." I nodded, numb. "Whatever you need." He left 2 days later, a kiss at the door that tasted like goodbye. Letters stopped. Calls went to voicemail. My world shrank to inventory lists and insomnia. The bookstore's bell jingling like mockery. Friends urged confrontation, fly down there. Make him choose, but I couldn't. 10 years of being the safe harbor had taught me. Waves crash, but rocks endure. So I endured, silent as the grave. Months bled into the present. That rainy Brooklyn night in October 2025. I closed up late, rain drumming a dirge on the awning, when my phone buzzed, a number I hadn't seen in 187 days. Jordan's voice, ragged as barbed wire. "Alex? God, I'm coming back. Stateside for good. Medboard, shrapnel in the leg from a drill gone wrong. I need to see you." My thumb hovered over the screen. Heart a war drum. Silence stretched, taut as a tripwire. Then, softly, I hung up. No words, no bridge. Just the click of disconnection, echoing the one I'd lived in for a decade. He called again the next morning, then evening, voicemails piling like unanswered prayers. "Please, talk to me." I was wrong. So damn wrong. By day 3, a knock rattled the bookstore door after hours. There he was, on crutches, fatigues rumpled, face gaunt under the brim of his cap. Rain plastered his hair, green eyes wild with something feral, fear, maybe, or the dawn of clarity. "Alex," he rasped, crutches slipping on the wet stoop. "Why won't you answer? After everything." I leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed over the flannel that still smelled faintly of him. 10 years of words, whispers, please, deflections, welled up, but I held them back. Let silence bloom like a bruise. It was my turn to be the ghost, the one who walked away. His crutch clattered to the pavement, free hand reaching out. I get it now. The space? It was bullshit. I was scared of the army, of Mom, of admitting Marcus was past tense, and you. You're my present. My future. If you'll have me. Voice cracking. He sank to one knee. Not proposal, but penance. I love you. Not as substitute. As you. Say something. Please. The street blurred. Rain mingling with tears I hadn't permitted in months. Around us. Brooklyn pulsed indifferent, cabs honking, a distant siren wailing, but in that moment, it was just us. Two men stripped bare by time and truth. My silence had cracked him open, revealed the regret festering like untreated shrapnel. And in its wake, possibility, fragile as a first word. Slowly, I stepped forward, hand cupping his jaw, thumb brushing the stubble I'd memorized in the dark. You broke us once, I whispered, voice steady despite the storm inside. But maybe we rewrite the ending. He surged up, crutches forgotten, pulling me into an embrace that tasted of salt and second chances. The rain washed over us, cleansing the years of half-truths. And for the first time, I believed in stories that didn't end in footnotes. But regret, that sly fox, doesn't vanish with a kiss. Jordan's discharge papers came through a week later, honorable, with a limp that would dog him through PT sessions at the VA. He crashed on my couch, then my bed, our nights a tentative dance, takeout and talks till dawn, unpacking the baggage we dragged like anchors. I wrote letters, he confessed one midnight, tracing the veins on my wrist. Burned them all in the desert. Too scared to send the truth. I laughed. Bittersweet. I kept everyone you did send. Read them like scripture. His eyes darkened. Hand tightening. Then let me make it right. No more hiding. It wasn't easy. His folks called. Probing. That city friend still around? And he told them. Voice steady over speakerphone. Alex is more than a friend. He's my partner. Silence on their end. Then a tentative bring him home for Christmas. Progress. Jagged but real. The army's shadow lingered. Though. Buddies from the unit texted sideways jokes. Cap's gone soft on some bookworm? And Jordan's jaw clenched. But he forwarded them to the diversity officer. A quiet stand. Me? The bookstore felt smaller. My manager's knowing grin a nudge toward expansion plans. Write your own chapter. Alex, she said, sliding me a blank journal. I did, sketches of a life unbound. Words flowing freer than in years. Yet tension simmered. A November night. Frost etching the windows. Jordan woke screaming. Nightmare of sand and Marcus's ghost. Accusing. I held him, murmuring nonsense till his breaths evened. But dawn brought distance. What if I'm broken goods, he muttered over cereal, spoon clinking like accusation. Can't even run without this damn cane. You're not goods, I snapped, sharper than intended. You're Jordan, scarred, stubborn, and mine if you want to be. He looked up, green eyes raw. I do. But the regret. It's eating me. 10 years I wasted. Making you wait. Silence again. My weapon turned shield. Then don't waste more. Fight for us like you fought for them. He nodded. Slow. And that afternoon, crutches clicking, he dragged me to the Armory's Veterans Center, volunteering slot for story hours. Ex-soldiers sharing tales with kids. Your words. My world, he said, watching me read from the things they carried. A boy with a missing arm tugged my sleeve after. Did the soldier find his way home? I glanced at Jordan, beaming amid the chaos. Yeah, he did. Winter deepened, snow blanketing Brooklyn in hush. We decorated the walk-up, a lopsided tree. Lights tangled like our history, and on Christmas Eve, his ring appeared, simple silver, engraved with no more footnotes. Kneeling by the radiator, steam hissing approval, he asked, "Be my forever, Alex?" The real one. Tears blurred the facets. Yes. God. Yes. The new year dawned crisp. Resolutions whispered in lovers' dawn. But drama, uninvited, knocked in February. Jordan C.O., retired and boozy, cornered us at a VFW Hall fundraiser. Hayes, you're my best. Now this, slurred disdain, eyes raking me like dirt. Jordan's fist clenched, knuckles white, but I squeezed his hand, silent strength. Captain Hayes served with honor, I said evenly, voice carrying. And loves with it too. Your issue, the man blustered, red-faced, but the crowd murmured support. A lesbian vet clapping Jordan's back, a trans sergeant toasting us. Times change. Old-timer, we left arm in arm, laughter bubbling free. The night's chill no match for our warmth. Spring unfurled tentative, cherry blossoms in Prospect Park. Our jog slow with his limp but steady. I pitched the bookstore's expansion, a queer-lit corner. Events for vets unpacking trauma through tales. Jordan dove in, co-hosting panels. His uniform swapped for tees that read to remember. This is us, he said one reading, arm around me on stage. Hidden chapters, finally in print, yet the past clawed back. Marcus's mom visited unannounced in May. Photo album in tow. Eyes wary but soft. Heard from Jordan. Wanted to understand. We sat in the bookstore's back room. Tea steaming. As Jordan laid it bare, love lost. Love found. No betrayal in between. She wept for her son. Then for us, embracing me at the door. Be good to him, Alex. He's worth the wait. I know, I whispered. Took 10 years to learn. Summer scorched. Our rhythm solidifying, weekends hiking the Palisades. His cane traded for a subtle brace. My hand is true support. But tension peaked in July. A deployment rumor swirling. Advisory role in Eastern Europe. Voluntary but loaded. Jordan paced the apartment. Dog tags jingling like chains. One last tour. For closure. Then out for good. My chest tightened. Old fears rising. And if it's not last, if silence isn't enough anymore. He stopped. Cup on my face. It is. You're my mission now. But doubt lingered. A shadow in our bed. The call came August 1st. Accepted. Wheels turning. He shipped prep kit. I packed his letters, mine this time. Bold declarations. Airport goodbye was agony, his flight to training. My heart in throat. Come back, I demanded, kissing him fierce amid the throng. Always, he vowed, vanishing through security. Months stretched, letters digital now. Video calls glitchy with lag. Miss your voice. He'd type from Germany. Counting days. I threw myself into the store's launch, ribbon cutting with rainbow banners. Jordan beaming virtual from afar. Patrons poured in, vets, allies, lovers. Our story whispered like legend. October circled back. Anniversary shadowed. His return flight, landed on the 18th. Rain lashing JFK like fate's drumroll. I waited curbside, wipers slashing, heart pounding. He emerged, duffel slung, brace minimal, eyes locking mine across the lot. No words at first, just embrace. Rain-soaked and raw. In the car, he pressed a bundle into my hands, burned letters. Salvaged. Edges charred, but words intact. Read them. See the regret I carried. The love I almost lost. I did. Later. By lamplight. Pages of torment. Epiphanies forged in foxholes. You're not substitute. You're salvation. We rebuilt from there. Brick by emotional brick. The bookstore thrived. A haven for hidden hearts. Jordan consulted for vet programs. His limp a badge. Not burden. Regret faded to wisdom. Nights of stories shared. Not stolen. Mornings of coffee and unhurried touches. One crisp fall eve, walking Atlantic Avenue, his hand in mine open for all. He stopped under the awning that had witnessed our start. 10 years as shadows, he said, voice thick. But the light, worth every scar. I pulled him close, the city humming approval. And the silence, it saved us. In the end, love isn't a straight line, it's a battlefield. One not by force, but forgiveness. Not by words, but the courage to let them rest. We chose each other, fully, flaws and all, proving that even substitutes can become the story's heart.